Hello everybody, and we're back again for the Prism calculator number 6. In our previous video we left off with a small problem, and that problem was that when we want to run, right now we're actually only doing a squared expression, or I'm sorry, so our exponent is only squared. So what we can actually do, there's a few things we can do here. So my first thought was actually make this an array of strings. But what I'm afraid of is that it's going to break other things. So rather than rather than our expression that, or our exponent expressions. So right here we have I'm sorry, calculator. We don't want exponent. We have builder, expression builder, and what this is, it just basically appends it. Well, that's great. Why don't we just make another builder and call it a squared builder, or squared expression builder, and that will solve that problem. So we're going to go ahead and add another class here. I'm just going to use resharper because it'll be a lot quicker. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and use expression builder, implement the missing, and we'll copy this and throw it here, and go ahead and do that. So now we need to go to forgive me, we need to actually go to expressions. Okay, and we need to add a squared. And we don't need to do anything else really. And we can simply do that. Now what we can do is copy this, and what would actually, we can go ahead and copy this and just now take this off. So let's go ahead and move this, and we're gonna clean that up in just a few minutes, but let's go ahead and go back to our view here. Okay, let's pin him so we don't have to look for him next time. Instead of exponent, let's make it squared. So that solves that issue. Now let's go to our exponent, which I believe is right here. Let's just copy this. And our exponent, now we can, this is it. Move him down and paste. Make it exponent. And now it should work. Let's go ahead and try both of those out. So First off, what we need to do is just go ahead and say scientific, and we're going to go ahead and say 5 squared exponent to, as is correct, now it's 25. So let's go ahead and say 10 to the power of 3 should be 1000, and we broke something. Okay, so let's retrace the steps. Just put a breakpoint here. Go ahead and run it. So we're going to go ahead and say scientific, and we're going to say 10 to the power of 3, and now we're going to go ahead and hit equals, and we're going to say calculator, which is a scientific calculator. Let's step into them. Okay, all solvers. So here's the all solver, allsolver.solve. So let's step into it, and so why didn't that work? Why did that ever work before? So it does have the correct. Okay, so it does have the exponent calculator. So let's step into that. So we go to it, and it breaks on there. Why does it break there? Oh, so our expression type is null. I thought we fixed that. Okay. So I gotta do it again just so I can figure out what's going on here. So we need to do scientific, and we're going to say 10. Okay, so that's our inner. Let's go here. Right. Here's the view model. That's what we need. So here's our symbol. So I figured the issue out, I think. Alright, so what we're doing, now we say exponent. We come here, we get the correct expression builder, we step into it, but you see what we're returning here is a string, okay? Or we're actually returning an expression, which we step into, and it just sets the value. So, alright, what we need to actually do here is expression E equals this. That should fix it. And the reason that should fix it is because now we'll actually go into the static operator that we created. Alright, so here's our scientific. We're going to go ahead and say 10 to here. We step over that, we step in there, and we step into this. So now it gets the value, and our expression is correct. So now we return that. So now we have an expression, and it should work. Doesn't. Okay, so we know that our expression is correct. Alright guys, I'm going to hit pause so you don't have to go through the agony of this. As soon as I figure it out, I'll get back and I'll let you know what it was. Okay guys, so I figured out what the issue was. And the issue was similar to what I thought it was, but it wasn't the exact, so I'll explain what it was. I have to find the base. Alright, so when we're actually, if you remember correct, when we actually do our basic calculator, we say 5, we run this method. And what it does, it essentially just says, should reset expression. If not, then we go on. And then we just say plus equals button content. And that adds it to the expression which shows here. Okay, so what was happening was in the expression itself, we weren't adding our expression type in our plus operator. So I essentially just had to call the stack method that I created earlier to do that. So now it actually should work. I haven't tested it, but it should work. What we're going to do, we're going to hit scientific, and we're going to say 10. We're going to actually remove all that so we don't break everyone. Alright, so now we're going to say that. We hit that at 1, which is correct. So now we go ahead and say we're going to do 3. We're going to say equals. And you see that now it actually says 1000, which is correct. So, by simply adding a very small amount of code, we were able to use the same the same expression that we did earlier, and that was simply because all we had to do is really copy this, and that's the beauty of abstraction and being able to use interfaces and so on and so forth like that. Alright guys, so let's move on to the next one. Let me look and see how long this video has been actually. Okay, it's only about 13 minutes right now. So let's decide which one we want to do now. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and create a new branch. I'm going to go ahead and stash the changes here and push it into it. And since I didn't do that before, what I'll do, I'll bring this over just so you guys can simply see it. Alright, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to create it off of develop, and we're going to go ahead and say squared expression start. And that will take it off of develop, which is what we want. So we're actually going to go back to develop again, and we're going to say squared Alright, so we're going to create that. Alright, so we're going to go here. We're going to go ahead and open command prompt. So what I did is hit Team Explorer, Actions, Open Command Prompt. I go ahead and say Git stash. Oops, I spelled stash wrong. I'll stash all my changes, which is great, so I can get and pull. Oops. And that will bring in my 2 new branches. And I'm going to say get check out origin. Okay, and that should check us out there. That looks like that didn't work. So let's reload solution. Another way to do this, which might be a better way, we're going to go to Home, Branches, and we're going to choose Squared and double click that. I probably just didn't type something right, and that's the reason why it said detached, but you can look down here and see we're correct. So let's reopen this back up, and we're going to type git stash pop. That will add all our stashes back to it. We're going to reload our solution, and we're going to make a commit. So there it is that. Okay, so now that's great. Let's go ahead and I'll do a pull request. I'm going to hit pause. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put it into the develop branch, and then we'll start on the next one. Alright guys, I'll be right back. Alright guys, so we're actually back. Unfortunately, I made a bit of a mistake. You know, I don't know why I did it. I just did. So looking at my work, I actually made this so we say 10 to the exponent of 3 actually is 1,000, which is correct, but I did it on the wrong button. This is actually scientific notation, and I was just you know, not thinking clearly. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to go ahead and switch back to the finish branch. I'm going to go ahead and make the quick change. I will leave you watching, but it's essentially just copy and paste. Nothing will change much there. So let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and, so right here I did it right here, right? So we did X to the Y is where we want, but I actually did it 10 to the X. So all I really have to do here okay, something funny's going on here. 10 to the X is where I did it. Oh, because I'm in the wrong, I did exponent instead of, alright. So I'll actually switch back to the square root, or is where I actually made those changes. So okay, now we want to go to X to the Y and do that. go scientific. We're going to say 10, which is x to the y. We do 3, and now that's correct. So we might as well do 10 to the x now. And what is that? In case you don't know what scientific notation is, it basically takes, let me hit clear. It basically takes, you know, whatever power to the 10th. So if we say 5, well, let's do an easy one. We're going to say 2. So to the power of 10, that's 2 zeros. So scientific notation says this should be 100, which it is. Okay. And if we do it again, we say 3 is 1,000, which, you know, is basically 10 times 10 times 10. So that said, there is that. Now let's implement that. So we're going to have a scientific notation expression builder. Okay, it's going to implement actually we want a stat sheet. I'm just going to delete this. This should be done in another branch. So I'm going to delete this. Alright. And I will just... Sorry, you have to see all this. I'm going to hit pause and get this correct. Basically all I'm going to do... Alright guys, we've got this all straightened out. Sorry about that. We're in the correct branch and we have everything we need to do. So we're going to go ahead and create a new builder. It's going to be a scientific notation expression builder. Okay, and it's going to be it needs to be expression builder. And essentially we need to go to constants. Just to ensure they're spelled the same. They weren't. And I'm not going to really worry with it. So, alright. Now what we need to do, we need to simply, don't need a symbol. All we need to do is return all we need to do is return we want to do 10. We just want we're going to use this same thing here. And we want to use a caret. I just want to say expression. Alright. Return expression. And that's all. That should work now on our scientific notation. We're going to say 5, and we're going to say doesn't. Oh, that's because we didn't add it. Here's x to the y, here's 10 to the x. We're just going to copy this. I know, that's driving me nuts. Alright. So that should now work. Whoops, we don't want that. Let's do him. We're going to say 3. Say equals, and it's 1,000. We're going to say 5 is 100,000, which is correct. Alright, so that's really good. We got our scientific notation is working. Alright, I push that up. I'm going to hit pause, and I'm going to create a new branch for the next one. Let's decide which the next one is real quick. So let's go ahead and run it. Looks like it might be sine. So we can do, maybe let's do something like sine 45 just as a test. So let's go ahead and say 45 and sine. And you see that it is now about 71. Alright, and let's do 45 sine. That's the same one I just did. Let's say 22.5 sine is 38, which is about correct. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. This should be, we're actually going to have to add a new calculator and a lot of other things as well. So let's go ahead and switch branches and stuff, and I'll be right back.